What's up, all my enlightened peeps? This is Genetic Avatar, and today I want to talk to you about matter and the fact that what we call matter, the material, objective reality that we see, that we touch, that we smell, well, it doesn't exist. The truth is, what we call matter is simply a holographic projection of two-dimensional information on a 2D surface. And this comes from people like Leonard Susskind. Stephen Hawking in his final paper talked about the holographic universe. Let's first look at what's called subatomic particles. Now, there's always been this sort of problem with semantics in certain areas of science. And so when people hear the word particle, they immediately think of like a particle of sand or a particle of salt. But a particle of matter, of objective matter, can't be in superposition, can't be quantum entangled, can't exhibit non-locality, quantum tunneling, quantum teleportation, none of that stuff. And calling it a particle gives the wrong impression. What it should be called is a subatomic state, because in quantum field theory, particles are not called particles, it's excitations of the underlying quantum fields. Now think about that. Excitations are very different than particles. See, I could drop a ball into a tub filled with water, and I would get excitations all throughout the water, all throughout the surface of the water. There'd be splashes everywhere, peaks of waves and everything, but none of those things isolated have an objective existence. And that's the same with subatomic particles. So you could think of subatomic particles as subatomic states, more or less like pixels, because we see through quantum teleportation, for instance, that it's not the actual matter that's being teleported from point A to point B. Like if you teleport a group of electrons from point A to point B, well, what's going from point A to point B is the state, it's the information. So once it teleports from point A to point B, point A, the electrons at point A basically become an incoherent mess. You can simply say that the electrons at point A, where the original quantum state was, die. But the original quantum state lives on in a new set of electrons. So again, it's not the matter that's teleported from A to B, it's the information. And what that simply tells you is that information, the quantum state, is more important than matter. Matter is like, what we call matter is like Play-Doh or like pixels. It basically illuminates the information. Like I said, the universe is holographic, basically information on a two-dimensional surface area that projects this three-dimensional universe that we think is real. But it's a house of cards. And this is based on quantum mechanics. The universe is non-local. I mean, think about that. The universe is fundamentally non-local. Think about what Einstein said. The distinction between past, present, and future is just a persistent illusion. I mean, everything we do is based on the distinctions between past, present, and future being real. Your birthdays, the time you go to work, time you go to sleep, the TV shows you watch, everything you do is built on that distinction between past, present, and future. But relativity tells us that's just not the case. You have four-dimensional space-time, but you have this observers within that four-dimensional space-time evolving over time, and they think they going from here to there, but in reality, all the time exists just like all of space. So 1970 still exists. It's a point in space-time. 1980 is a point in space-time. Today is a point in space-time. 2040 is a point in space-time, in four-dimensional space-time. But observers within that space-time will experience it from moment to moment to moment. You then look at one of the top theories out right now, which is the holographic universe, which says two-dimensional information on a two-dimensional surface area that projects a three-dimensional universe. This actually means the third dimension is an illusion. There's a video on YouTube with Leonard Susskind and Brian Greene and other scientists that ask, is the third dimension an illusion? They say that they think the third dimension is an illusion. Leonard Susskind talks about there's a version of you on a boundary of space, and another version of you inside that boundary, and we don't know which one is which. But you just think about all of these things. The universe is basically screaming at us. It's basically saying, I'm not real. I'm not objectively real. I'm not an objective material reality. You got to ask yourself, if the universe is real, why does it behave like it's not real? Like it's a construct of information. And it's built on information, and matter just illuminates that information. It just projects that information. You look at the fact that we see at a rate around 60 frames per second. That's what we are wired, how we are wired to see the universe. But you can just imagine a nano being. A nano being would be somebody who could perceive the passage of a nanosecond. And it's about 1 billion nanoseconds in a second. Now you could just imagine that nano being, he wouldn't even see us as whole humans. He might see us as, think we are UFOs. Our bodies would be spread out in his space. We could be space debris, UFOs, things in his space, but he wouldn't see us as an individual. So you think of all of the perceptions of reality between Planck's constant and the speed of light, all of the different realities you can experience in time. You know, you have pico beings, yocto beings, nano beings, beings that can experience a day of our time or a month of our time. I mean, you can have just all sorts of beings that are wired to experience time differently. The point is that it makes no sense. An objective material reality makes no sense. You just look at superposition. Superposition of a particle sort of behaves like a server on your computer server on the internet. When you go to a website, for instance, say Facebook or a popular website, where they're online more than say a blog that might get 100 views a day, 20 views or 50 views a day. And when that is not online, when it's not being observed, when it's not being interacted with, well, that information is stored on the server until someone types in the web address. And then it's back online to be observed when you look at it. Well, that's how reality is. Reality, the universe does not exist. No party, this is not just subatomic level. I'm talking about a quantum level. I'm talking about on a classical level as well. The universe does not exist until it's measured. It can't exist. When you look at something like Schrodinger's cat, for instance, and you have this radioactive material, and it's emitting a particle. If it emits a particle, then poison would be released. This is a whole Schrodinger's cat. Poison would be released, and it would kill the cat. If not, then the cat will be alive, and no poison will be released. But the cat has to be in a state of both a live cat and a dead cat until a measurement occurs. There's no other way to look at it, because the cat would have to know whether or not a particle is going to be emitted or not before it becomes in a particular state. So people talk about decoherence, something called decoherence. But decoherence is something that happens after a measurement occurs. It can't happen before a measurement occurs, because what you could end up getting is a dead cat, but the poison isn't released. There's no way the cat can go into a particular this state or that state until the actual measurement occurs, so to know what state it's supposed to be in. So you have a mixture of a live cat and a dead cat. And what this tells you again is this is not an objective material reality. This is information being a projection of information. So it's the information that's in this mixed state of a live and dead cat. There is no cat. The cat doesn't exist independently of this information. Nothing exists independently of the information. We all are constructs of information. And for these reasons, matter, the objective material reality, does not exist. We are living in an information construct, and you can have all sorts of constructs from Planck's constant to the speed of light. So this is Genetic Avatar, talking to my enlightened ones out there, and I'll be back.